Welcome to Midway Minute, everyone. I'm Scott Koral. Hit the subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube, and then head to the website, midwayminute.win, and subscribe to the newsletter. Today, I am with George Ofman. George, welcome to Midway Minute.
Thank you very much for having me.
You've probably heard George at least at some point on The Score or WBBM Radio. George, what are you doing these days?
Well, let's see. I'm not working, but I'm not retired. But I am working on a podcast in production, and hopefully we will release that sometime in January or February, and it's quite a project.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. Midway Minute, we'll try and, pump you up a little bit. So, here we go. Let's start it all off on a good note. So you guys heard it. Get with George on his podcast, and, we'll make it work. All right. So to the subject at hand. The Bulls last night had their first draft, and the first one under Artūras Karnišovas. The new regime has begun. They had the fourth selection in the NBA draft, and they picked Patrick Williams. Some say that was a great pick. Others say it's a project, and we're not going to be sure in about 2 to 3 years. But George, where does this pick fall to you?
Well, first of all, I give a lot of credit to Karnišovas and his staff because they did a tremendous amount of homework. He's one of the few guys who actually said this is a good draft. There's that's subject to a lot of opinion, but he likened this to be a pretty good draft. And Williams' name kind of came out of nowhere over the last, I would say, maybe 6-7 days. There were a lot of people and a lot of speculation about who the Bulls would pick and whether they were going to make a trade. But in the end, they wound up getting a young man who, amazingly enough, while he was the 6th man of the year in his freshman year at Florida State, led them in scoring. That's because Leonard Hamilton runs that kind of program. He uses every one of his players. It's kind of a pro type of offense that he uses at Florida State. Well, the Bulls saw a 19-year-old with a great upside. He's a raw talent, but obviously he had a very good year in a very tough league in the ACC. So he's a project, yes. None of these top picks are considered absolutes. You never know. You don't know if a guy who was picked 15th or 16th could wind up being a pretty good star player in the NBA. I think we've seen history of players that are chosen lower and wind up being great players in the league. But it doesn't surprise me that he made this pick. We're also talking about a lot of revamping I'm looking at the list of players now over the next couple of years, many of whom probably will not be here.
And that is kind of an interesting thing for the Bulls. I mean, if you look at it with Williams and, really 6 of maybe their top 8 players are 25 years old or younger.
Right.
And that's their core. So what kind of a team is this going to be for Billy Donovan, who said, I really don't want a reclamation project?
Well, they may have 7 or 8 guys who are that young, but not all of them are going to be part of the core. Zach LaVine has 2 more years left. I wouldn't be surprised if they find a different home for him if he doesn't fit what they want. Lauri Markkanen is another guy who I think that they thought would be their best player. And he is a project in himself in that the Bulls have to find out what kind of talent he is going to be. The issue here is really about a complete change in culture. They needed to make a change at the coaching level. It was painfully obvious. This is a team last year with whatever talent that it did have, probably should have won 33 games, not 22. That's not a lot of games, but they should have been much better. And I have a feeling with this coach and a very accomplished coach, they will be a better team. However, of impact players at the moment, they have one proven, Zach LaVine. There are no superstars here. And I think everybody knows in the NBA, you need one to win. And they decide where they want to go. And unfortunately for the Bulls, since Michael Jordan left, they don't come here. They don't want to be part of the Bulls. And the only time they got a superstar player was Dwayne Wade, and he was past his prime. So do they have really good players? As I look at their list, Wendell Carter Jr. is a wonderfully talented player. The question is, where are they going to put him, and what kind of player will he be, and will he be part of this franchise over the next 5, 6, 7 years? It is going to be a drastically revamped roster as time goes on. I mean, Kobe White looks like he's going to be a really, really good player on this team. But it's going to take time for this new regime to determine where they're going, how they want to get there. I have a feeling they know what they want to do. And that's why they picked Billy Donovan, because he became available, and he is a really good coach. But this is all about declaring where you want to be in the future. And for the Bulls, the future isn't next year. It might be 3, 4 years down the road.
Another issue that the Bulls have is outside of signing Devin Dotson last night from the University of Kansas, and he's also a Chicago boy, they don't have a point guard on the roster, or at least a true point guard. So where do they go in free agency? Do they go with try and get a point guard or something else?
Well, they may be looking for a veteran point guard to begin. I think that Kobe White is a guy that they're looking at to be that guy for now. I mean, they from what I've been told and the information that was gleaned, they never really tried to get LaMelo Ball, and there were other point guards available. Obviously, they knew that they have some players that they could use in that position, and White is one of them. In free agency, they have a limited amount of money. Is there a veteran out there that they can get who's a good ball handler for them now? That may be the way they go, and then we see what happens in the next draft. So like I said, this is a work in progress, and it's not, in the NBA, unless you're the Lakers and you welcome in LeBron James, and then you welcome in another star in Anthony Davis, you can turn your franchise around like that. Most teams can't do that. Most teams have to build, and that's exactly where the Bulls are.
Well, George Ofman, thank you very much for joining us on Midway Minute, and we also want to thank you guys for watching. So remember to hit that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube, and also head to the website, midwayminute.win, and sign up for the newsletter. We'll see you guys next week.